Was Dr. Fosberg really just trying to save Bessie's life when he performed that fatal abortion in 1906? We'll never know, but he wouldn't have gotten in trouble at all if he had just kept proper records. This is Christina with the Sisyphean Journal, and today is February 23rd. On February 23rd of 1906, a 26-year-old woman named Bessie died at her home in Chicago. Later on, Dr. George Fosberg said that he had performed an abortion on her in order to save her life. He said that when she became ill, her family did not want to let him admit her to the hospital, and he said that at that point, he withdrew from the case. Now, I haven't been able to determine what objection, if any, Bessie's family had made to hospitalizing her. Her mother-in-law, Charity, testified at the inquest and said that she had traveled from her home in Kokomo, Indiana to help care for Bessie after she'd gotten ill, and she was the one who gave the authorities Dr. Fosberg's name. Dr. Frank Otis testified that he had taken over Bessie's care and had been the attending physician at the time of her death. He said that he was summoned the day of her death. An examination showed that she was suffering from inflammation of the abdominal organs and that an operation had been performed. I notified the health department, and when I was asked the contributory causes of death, I told of the operation. A coroner's jury was unable to determine whether Fosberg had been performing a perfectly legal abortion in a perfectly legal attempt to save Bessie's life, or whether he'd been performing an illegal abortion that had nothing to do with any health condition that Bessie had. I am inclined to think that this was not actually a life of the mother abortion for two reasons. The first one is that it would have been really easy for him to document carefully. Family is refusing to admit the patient to a hospital and transfer her care to another doctor rather than just, fine, I quit. Although that might not have been practiced back then in 1906, it still would have been a smart thing to do. But the other thing that makes me think that this might not have been a health of the mother or life of the mother abortion is that 10 years later, Fosberg was implicated in another woman's abortion death. That case didn't go to trial either, but I don't know why. Well, Fosberg later lost his license to practice medicine after being convicted of bank fraud. When he was released from prison, he opened a boarding house, and there he was arrested for perpetrating another abortion, this time in 1944. So, I don't know what led him down the road he wound up on. He went from somebody who people believed it was pretty credible that he was performing a life of the mother abortion to an ex-doctor and ex-convict who's doing abortions in a boarding house. Go figure. You can start a conversation below.